Alright, all. I guess I'm live. Or says I'm live anyways. So let's see what happens here today. How y'all doing today? See, I've already got one viewer. Thank you so fun for being here with me today. Alright, all. I guess I'm live. It says I'm live anyway. So let's see what happens. Alright, guys. Like I said, I've been kind of teasing this about going live. It's kind of going to be kind of a Q&A. Just give you guys a chance to interact with me and for me to answer some of your guys' questions. I'm still kind of getting used to all of this live streaming stuff, so you're going to have to bear with me some. But welcome back to Dave's Tech Way, whichever way the situation may be. I was going to go down through the comments of some of my videos and answer some of them questions for y'all, but I haven't been getting a whole lot here lately. So I think I'm going to minus that out for the day. So instead, I think I'm going to be using PC port picker here to put together a system for you. Just kind of show you how I go about finding new, putting together new ports and whatnot for my builds. How's that sound to you so fun? Still trying to get used to all this lag too. But here we are inside PC Port Pickle. We're going to start a new build here. And this is the way that I normally go about picking my ports for my new computer builds that I do. I guess we're gonna go with about $1,000 budget. That seems to be pretty. Anything less than $1,000 budget, I'd go with used components over new components. So we'll start out with picking a CPU, and of course we're gonna go with the 3600. 3600 is the newest processor, 6 core, 12 threads. You're looking at about $200 on Newegg. You can actually get it cheaper on Outlet PC for $195. We'll throw that there into the mix. Hey, got another viewer too. How we doing today? Glad you joined in on the fun that we're going to be having here today. Alright, so we got the 3600 there. That's going to be the CPU for the build. The motherboard, let's see here. We'll go with a B450 motherboard. Just for the fun of it. Now, that's still a pretty decent motherboard, even for Ryzen 3600. The only thing you really want to make sure of is it's going to be 3000 Ryzen 3000. Ryzen 3000 compatible, which most of the new ones, if you get one that's new to the market's going to be. Let's see, Azerock, Gigabyte. We'll go with my favorite right here. We'll go with the B450 DS3H motherboard. I don't know. I guess I got a soft spot for that motherboard right there. Memory, 2019, we need at least 16 gigs of memory. And they like faster memory, so we'll go 3000, 32, 36. Let's see here. We go with two 8 gig sticks modular because you definitely want to do a dual channel. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed that B450 BIOS update video that I put out. I guess I ought to put this thing where you can see what I'm doing on PC Port Picker, huh? There we go. And of course, I do everything by price. Want the lowest price at the top to be able to get the best deals. Gel, I don't care too much for them. There's a Team 16 gig, 3000 megahertz speed, two 8 gig sticks, red and black. Yeah, we'll go with that for this one. And of course, I do everything by price. Want the lowest price. There we go. We got the processor, we have the motherboard, we have the RAM, the storage. We're going to want to go with an M.2 NVMe. And why I say that is if you see my next video coming up, it ain't published yet. It'll be out on Wednesday, I believe. I'm hoping to have it up by then. But I always definitely recommend going with an NVMe just because of the prices of it. If you price between NVMe and SATA 3 drives is almost nothing anymore. So yeah, you get a lot better speeds out of a SSD than out of an NVMe drive. Where's my capacity at here on this thing? There's my capacity. I'll go at least 500 gig NVMe drive. There we go. Yeah, save $60, $56 for an NVMe drive. You probably can't get a 500 gig SSD for that for any less if you go with a SATA 3 drive. Let's see here. Do it by price. Do it from the lowest to the highest. There we go. And the Kingston A2000 500 gig. That'd be a pretty good drive. I actually used that in a build here recently. Let's see. Have you tested the F42 BIOS on the motherboard? Actually, I believe that's the one that I'm running now is the F42. I think it's F42A that I'm running right now on my motherboard. And it seems to be running good. So yeah, I have tested it and I have no problems with it. Have you run into any problems with yours since you've updated the BIOS on it? Then we got the video cards here. Let's see here. For a video card, we're trying to stay within $1,000. And the 57, the 57 XD. Prices from the lowest to the highest, 1660, 1660. I really don't like 1660 too well. 1660 Ti's. There's the Asus Strix Gaming OC, 1660, the 2060, the 57. I'm a big fan of Gigabyte, so that's the blower style. We don't want no blower style. We don't like blower styles. MSI 6 gig for the 2060. 329, yeah, we should be able to get everything else we need. Are these the betas? Nah, they ain't betas. They are the actual, well, let's see here. Gigabyte PS3. I don't believe they're more the betas. Let's see what the newest BIOS is for that motherboard. Port. And go down to the BIOS. There's 10 BIOSes been out. The 42H. the 42H, it is not a beta. It's an actual, it is an actual BIOS for the motherboards for F42H. Looks like it improved some of the gaming compatibility, PCI Express Gen 4 for the Ryzen 3000. Don't look like it's gonna have much of a real update to it. If you're running like the 40 or the 41, don't look like it's gonna have much of a difference. It don't look like it's gonna perform a whole lot better for you. Don't look like it's gonna have much of a real update to it. If you're running like the 40 or the 41, don't look like it's gonna have much of a difference. Let's see here. What are we up to here? We're up to $717. Let's pick probably about $100 case, I guess. For $1,000 build here. Drop that down some. You're welcome, man. I always enjoy answering your guys' questions. Makes me feel good that I'm helping somebody out there. The Mashified C. Yeah, we'll use that. We'll use that one for this. About $100 case. Yeah, for $1,000 PC, you're looking at about $1,000 case, or $100 case for $1,000 build. Power supply. This hookup we could probably get away with probably 450, 500 watts. We'll go to about 500 watts here. Drop this on down here someplace reasonable where we don't get too expensive with the power supply. Everybody knows power supplies is expensive right now because of the shipping on them. Cooler Master, Corsair, EVGA, and Seasonic. Let's stick with them brands. Them is brands I know and like so well. Corsair, $50 for 650 watt power supply. That ain't too bad, I guess. $45 for 650 watt. It's 80 plus. Nah, let's change this to bronze, gold, or platinum. We don't want 80 plus. What we got? EVGA BT 80 bronze, $50. They got all black cables to it. The semi-modular? Nah, that ain't even semi-modular. That'd be alright. That'd be more than enough to do what we need to do with this system. What we up to? $866. And we got the processor with a decent heat sink to it. We got the motherboard. We got the RAM. Let's go ahead and add a 1 terabyte hard drive into this thing too. We have the funds to spend, so, and that 500 gigs is good for a boot drive, but not much more. You can't get a whole lot of games on it. So we'll add a mass storage drive to it here. Go from the lowest to the highest here. Western Digital, well, they make pretty good. Seagate Barracudas, they're a pretty good hard drive. For $40, we'll add that one. There we go. $905. And that thing will definitely rock a 1080p gaming system. That's even great for streaming or anything else there that you want. Gives you 16 gigs of RAM, the motherboard, the processor, the 1 1 terabyte mass storage drive, the 500 gig M.2 NVMe drive with a boot drive, the 2066 gigabyte, which comes out of the box overclocked with the fractal design, ATX mid tower case, and a 500 watt power supply, 80 plus. It's almost $1,000, $905.56. $931 if you don't count in the mail-in rebates for $35. Seems to be pretty good. Not bad. Whoops. Hold on. You guys ain't supposed to see that. Alright, there we go. So that'd be about the system that I'd recommend for $1,000 budget if you're looking at a gaming system. I think that would do you pretty good. It's a pretty good streaming system as well. I mean, I'm streaming right now on the 2400G, which is a quad core with hyperthreading. And by my stats, it says I'm doing good, so. That's what I wanted. Thumbs up. One, three. You guys have, either one of you two have a question for me today? Either one of you two have a question for me today? Go down through the comments there of the YouTube channel here, and through some of my past videos, and see what kind of questions I can answer here. Dino D 3 weeks ago. I have a channel on YouTube also for anyone that's interested. Yeah, there you guys go. Go check them out. I am rocking a 3400G. Let's see here. I'm rocking a 3400G B450 MDS3H, 28 gig RAM, 250 gig SSD, and a 2 terabyte hard drive, and a 550 watt Corsair power supply. Sounds like a pretty good build. You got a video card in that? Or do you plan on upgrading the one later on? I'm rocking a 3400G B450 MDS3H, 28 gig RAM, 250 gig SSD, and a 2 terabyte hard drive, and a 550 watt Corsair power supply. Make sure the USB is plugged into the USB port that's on the motherboard, not the case. Had me stumbled for a minute. Entertainment arena, bro. My PC CPU fan and case fans is running, and LED is on in the motherboard, but no display and no fans not running in it. GPU. How to fix this? GPU may be the problem. Sometimes GPU turns on and suddenly stops. GPU is probably the problem. Try to go to a micro center for diagnostics. Broken, it be fixed, or should I buy a new GPU? If it's entertainment arena, if your computer's got these kind of problems, it could be a lot of different things. It may not be just the GPU. It may be a RAM problem. It may be a CPU ain't plugged in all the way, or it ain't seated right. It could be some kind of cable ain't connected right. When you first build a system, if you didn't do an out box build, it could cause you some. It could do some funny things. Make sure you check the common stuff before you go buy new components. So planning to add a GPU in it in the future. Any suggestions to go with the 3400G? Uh, the 3400G is about like 2400G. I mean, you could go pretty high GPU before it does any, before you see the CPU holding back the GPU any. The 3400G, that's quad core with 8 threads. It pushes the loader over four, four, pushed up to like 4.1 or 4.2 if I ain't mistaken. You should be able to go, you can probably take that all the way up to probably a 2070 before it starts holding your GPU back any. Depending on what kind of games you want to play or what kind of resolution you want to run. I'd look at the 2060 or 5700s. You know, like I said, even possibly the 2070s would do all right for 3400G. And you said you had 16 gigs of RAM, so that shouldn't be no problem. So yeah, if you're gonna add a GPU, depending on your price range and what kind of games you plan on playing at what kind of resolution, would be would be the big factor. And of course, your budget would be the biggest. But that 3400G should be able to handle just about any graphics card you throw at it or close to it. Let's see, what else we got in the comments here I may be able to throw an answer out to. I was trying to be funny. Okay, so fun. So fun. Why ain't this thing giving my comments in the time frame that they came in? So Jack asked, this option does not appear for me for some reason. That was on how to disable the onboard graphics. Most likely that's if you ain't running an iGPU or a CPU that has onboard graphics, you ain't gonna have that show up in the BIOS to be able to disable it. That's only if you need to. That's only if you have a iGPU. That's their eggs Benedict says thanks so much. That really helped me. Well, I'm glad I could help you with updating that BIOS on the B450 motherboard. I always like them kind of comments when people ask. Just say thanks. Makes me feel good that my knowledge is worth a little bit to somebody. Budget one for 1080p gaming. My only concern is that the GPU getting bottlenecked due to the 4-core CPU. 1080p gaming. I mean, you could even go with a 580 or a 590 to do 1080p gaming. I mean, you got a lot of choices out there. Like I said, the 1660s and whatnot will be good for that. The 580s, the 590s, the 1060s, the 2060s. I think you'd be all right with. I mean, you got 4 cores, 8 threads. I don't. I mean, you could run, like I said, you could run pretty high graphics cards than that. But for 1080p gaming, you may want to be like the 1660 series or the 2060 or the 590s or the 57, even the 5700 or 5700 XT. You could run, and that quad core should keep up with it pretty good. As you're playing AAA titles, they're starting to use more cores if they're available, but they still play pretty good on your quad core processors. Uh, let's see here. What else do we got here? Want to change the type of numbers? Okay, here's a good one. This comes from Bernard Riggins. Hi, Dave. I have the B450 MDS3H and AMD Ryzen 2600 after building a PC. What's next? What do I need to do? I done installed Windows. Do I need to install the supports for the motherboard, the B450 MDS3H? I mean, do I need to install the drivers for the motherboard? Can you help me, please? What's next after building a PC? You know, a lot of times I've done this so much, building PCs and getting them up and going. Okay, you deserve more subscribers. Yeah, I'd like to see more subscribers. I'm sure they'll come along with time. But I want to thank you for the words of confidence on that. Um, I build PCs a lot, and I kind of take it for granted that everybody knows how to do the you know installing of Windows and the basics of how to update all your chipsets and everything like that. Maybe I ought to do a video on this one because of this comment here. You know, but yeah, Bernard, you need to install your drivers for your motherboard. I would only go through Gigabyte's website to get them and download them to make sure you get the right ones, get the latest ones. Uh, and then after that, you just kind of install your game clients that you like, if it's Steam or Origin or wherever you plan on getting your games through. I'm not sure if you're new to PC gaming or whatnot, but you said that's your first build. So yeah, definitely get your drivers updated and everything like that, and then you just start downloading your game clients and start enjoying the system. You pretty well got the hardest part of it done. Maybe I should do a video on how to, since I did the one on installing Windows, maybe I ought to do one on updating the drivers and everything like that. Kind of walk you through the steps of setting up a new PC once you have it built. It's a pretty good idea, I think. Maybe I can do pretty good with that one. Uh, what else do we got here? Newbie questions. Nadra Razul, I think is the way you pronounce his name. Let me flip this over if we get to see the questions with me. I'm looking at this one right here. Newbie question: does all the wires come with the components? Yeah, if you're buying all new components, all your wiring will come with them. Your SATA, if you're running SATA drives or whatnot, they will come with the motherboard. All your power connectors will come with your power supply. If you're buying new fans and whatnot for the system, everything that you need to hook them fans up will come with it. If you're buying used parts, like you've seen some of my videos, which I think, yeah, that was on the Cooler Master Box Q300 build guide, so that's all new components. Yeah, all your wires will come with the components. Everything you need to put it together should come together with it. Like I said, your SATA ports and whatnot, your SATA cable will come with your motherboard, not with the hard drive or the SSD. Uh, I'm not really sure what all wires you're talking about. Your front connector will be connected. You're connected to the case already. You just have to connect them to the motherboard. I hope that kind of answers that question. Uh, what else do we got here? There's a great job, great video, thank you. Dave, you're awesome, thanks for helping me out. Well, you are welcome, Horseman V. Thank you for that. I'm glad I could help you out. Does the motherboard support a 3500? If you can find a 3500 processor, it should, because that is an AM4 processor. It shouldn't mount right into it. You'll have to update the BIOS for it to run the 3000 series processors. But yeah, it should support the 3500. If I'm not mistaken, them's usually 3500. What is the 3500? 3500 CPU. If I'm not mistaken, them's usually made in the pre-built 3500X 3500. Y'all, that's them ones that's being released overseas. Verizon 30, Verizon 5 3500X and 3500 CPUs. Yeah, them's the ones being only released overseas. But that is an AM4 with a motherboard update, BIOS update. That should support the 3500. Thanks for the question in the comment. There, my BIOS did not detect the USB drive. I try Jetaner Bias. I guess is the way you pronounce that. Your motherboard ain't detecting your USB drive. You could have a bad USB drive. Make sure you're plugging it into the ports on the back of the motherboard, not one in the front of the case. I try another USB port because some of them will actually run off your chipset instead of through the CPU. That would be my best suggestions on that one to get that up and going for you. Uh, uh, I have the Aorus B450 Pro motherboard. I learned you have to put the numbers in. Oh, okay, that's going back to the overclocking where you type in the numbers instead of trying to do it with the mouse like I was trying to do. Let's see here. What else do we got here? Did you already kill any components with stock with the static electricity? That I have not. That comes from now 000 3 weeks ago. No, I've never in my years of building components, not that I know of, have I ever killed any components. Anything I've ever plugged into a motherboard has worked fine. Like I said, if you touch the back of a motherboard or whatever, you could possibly kill a port or whatever, but all the ports I've ever tried to use on the builds I've done has always worked properly like they should have. So I don't see, no, I have, not that I know of, I've never killed any ports with static electricity. Great video question though. I have the Ryzen 7 2700 8 core and the BIOS is currently F4. Do I need to update the chipset driver first and then the BIOS? Yes. What's his name? Megaforce 84. Yeah, you definitely want to update your chipset drivers before you go into trying to do your BIOS. I always have, and I've never had a problem. Um, Make sure you do the chipset drivers before you do the BIOS update. That way there's no compatibility issues. Uh, Update the chipset BIOS update F32. Okay. Why didn't you use the M.2 port? Oh, okay. So Wit, 3 weeks ago, he was watching the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300 build. Asked me why I didn't use the M.2 port. At the time that I did that build, the M.2s were still pretty expensive, and I was trying to keep the price down on that build. Anytime you're trying to build a computer to sell, you want to try to keep it down as least as possible because a lot of people don't like paying high dollars. And M.2 NVMe drives are so new, a lot of people don't even know what they are unless they are an enthusiast or they know a lot about computers. So they really wouldn't pay the extra money for the price of an NVMe drive compared to a SATA drive. So it's just more or less a price performance thing when I did that build, which that was quite a while ago when I did that build. So yeah, that's pretty well why I didn't use the M.2 on that one. Uh, I hate the Intel Core cheap plastic plugs. They're easy to break, and that's at nail 000 again. Yeah, they are pretty cheap, but when you're talking budgets, you know, they will do the job. You know, your stock heat sinks will do a pretty good job on Intel and AMD anymore. So I didn't see no sense in spending an extra $30 on a build to, you know, update the cooler or 20 or $30 more when like I said, when you're trying to build one to sell, you want to try to keep it as cheap as possible. A lot of people don't like paying for big heat sinks or anything like that. What else do we got here? 1 month ago, SI or S1. I don't know if that's a one or an I right there. Hey Dave, when you update the BIOS, first and second gen Ryzen still works. Thanks for the video. Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, because you update your BIOS don't mean the previous generations of AM4 processors ain't gonna work in the motherboard. It just kind of gives you the opportunity to be able to update it to where you can run the latest or the 3000 series processors. First and second gen are still work good. I did my BIOS update for the 3000 series, which I'm still running the Ryzen 2400G, and I've never ran into no problems with it. That's just to make the motherboards more compatible for the upcoming processors with the motherboard BIOS updates do for you. Which I'm hoping that they're going to continue for quite a while, but they only promise backward support up to 2020, so we'll see what happens after that. So maybe whenever Ryzen 4000 series comes out, it may end up being a little bit different. I'm not too sure on that. What else do we got here? Doing my first build in this box, I was really lost in the dark. Thanks for taking the time to lead me into the light power light. That was in the Cooler Master Half XB Evo case. That came from 6 Phantom a month ago. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad I could shed some light on it and show you around that case and how to build in that case. What else do we got here? My new build comes with a disk drive, so where would I plug it in at? That was in the Cooler Master Q300L build guide. Your new build comes with a disk drive. That came from Silicon 112. Well, your disk drive, that case, if you're talking about that case right there, the Q300L case, it don't have a place for a disk drive. You have to get you a case that supports a 5 1/4 inch disk drive or something. You wouldn't be able to put it inside that case. You'd have to get a different case for that, and it just plugs in like a standard hard drive or SSD. You know, your 2.5 inch hard drive, 2.5 inch SSD or 3.5 inch hard drive does. You know, you have a SATA port for the power, and you got a SATA port for the data. That'd be pretty well where that comes from, and it plugs into your SATA port just like your hard drive would. But thanks for the comment, anyways. Great review. I have the same case and the same video card. I have the new rear radiator 120, two front intakes, 140 fan, and one top rear exhaust fan. Case is cool. System works great. That's the Q300L build. That was Mark Lurkins. Yeah, you're right. That Q300L was a pretty good case. There is some airflow restrictions on it that some of the other YouTubers have found out for if you're gonna go really high expensive builds, you know, the airflow may not be the best, which when I first did the review on that case, I thought it would be pretty good because it's all mesh. Or, you know, it's got the small holes drilled in the front of it all over the place. But if Cam find out that the airflow ain't quite as good in that case, but it's still a great little case for any kind of mid-size build or mid-tier build, as long as you don't go too high end on it. What else do we got here? I haven't got a clue how to build a PC, but I'm still going to try. And that's gear, I guess. Yeah, well, that's the only way to jump into it and find out. And I hope you enjoy that build. Yeah, I don't know how to build a PC. You know, there's plenty of tutorials out there. I got quite a few of the how-tos on the channel with different cases, different motherboards, different, you know, Intel and AMD, Ryzen, even even the old Bulldozer AMD. I think there's one or two builds with them on there. So, and there's a lot of other tutorials out there that may go a little bit more in depth than mine does. So, I think you'll be alright. This is like adult, you know, building a computer nowadays just like an adult Legos, you know. Very well all plug and play. Uh, let's see here. Stiladini is one fan really enough? I plan on building this. Got a Ryzen 5 2600, the B450 motherboard, 16 gigs of RAM, RX 570, Corsair, VS550 PSU, the Raid Max B04. I'm assuming that Raid Max B04 would be the case. Let's see what that is. I believe that's the case. Yeah, that's the case. Alright, let's see here. Is one fan really enough? 2600 with 16 gigs of RAM, RX 570. Me personally, I recommend positive airflow. You want more airflow coming into your case than what's being sucked out by the back fan. But a system like that, you could probably get away with just a one fan. You know, I'd build with one fan, test your temperature, see what they're running once you get everything maxed out. Me personally, if you have the budget to do so, I'd put two fans in the front, two 120 fans in the front. I'm pretty sure that case, by looking at that case, It would support two fans in the front. Let's see here. Let's check out this case here. Specs. There we go. Details, expansions, front panel, cooling. That's there. Front three 120 fans or 140 fans, and the 120 that's included in the rear. And you got room for three 120s on the top. Yeah, I'd probably go ahead and put two 120s in the front of it to give you positive airflow pressure in that case. I mean, that ain't. I mean, it's a decent little system you're putting together there. But yeah, I'd probably spend the extra $30 or so and put two fans in the front of it. Can you do a review of a motherboard? And that's from Bob S. 1 month ago. Uh, yeah, I mean, I got a review of a motherboard on my channel that's a 990FX from when I did my first bulldozer build for the channel. I did a unboxing of a motherboard on it. Uh, Mr. Bob, if you're watching this, if you got a motherboard you'd like to see me do a review on or a overview of, let me know which one you're actually looking at buying, and I'll look into it. See about getting it. Oh, what else do we got here? Matt P. Hello, I have a question about the BIOS drivers. I have version F3, but do I jump directly to F31 then F40 by skipping F30? F30 requires me to get the latest chip drivers, and I don't know which file on the extracted chip drivers to select from the updates. Matt P, I would go to the website for the motherboard, which that's for the B450 DS3H motherboard from Gigabyte, and I'd get the latest chipset drivers and get them installed. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe you have to do F30 to be able to do the latest ones. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've done that. Um, let's see here. Support. The BIOS is, which one is it? Says that before updating BIOS to the newest version, you must follow the steps as BIOS 40. BIOS 40. No, I guess you can skip right over 30. You can skip over 30, you can take it straight up to F32, and then you go up to 40 or whatever, whichever one above that you need to go to. But as far as that chipset drivers go, I always try to update my chipsets to the latest version. Let's see here, drivers 19. I try to do the latest ones, which you can tell right there on the date for when they was released. That's the easiest way to know that you got the newest chipset drivers. And I always recommend doing them before you do the BIOS update. What else we got here? Mitchell H. I only have an SSD. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. If you have just a SATA 3 or a SATA 2 SSD, then you're fine with the speed that you're getting out of that. That's fine. Depending on the size and how much storage you need, you'd be alright with just an SSD. That's no problem. So just for us. Hello, I have a Ryzen 3600, but I don't have an old CPU. Can I do the BIOS update with 3600? Okay, and this is going back to updating the BIOS on the B450 DS3H motherboard. You have to have an older processor, either first gen or second gen processor to update the BIOS on this. I know I get hit with this one a lot. Um, if you buy the motherboard and it says it's Ryzen 3000 ready, then you're going to be all right, because they'll accept that processor. But if you have to update your BIOS, you will have to have an older processor, either first or second gen Ryzen, or not second gen, but the 2000 series processor to be able to update that BIOS to be able to accept the 3000 series processor. Um, Ways around that, take it to your local dealer, local computer repair shop. A lot of them smaller guys will do it for free or low cost. Or you could Ryzen. AMD actually will loan you a processor. I mean, it's a little APU from first gen or second gen to update your BIOS with, and you just ship it back. I mean, it ain't nothing special with CPU, but it's more than enough to get the BIOS updated. Or you could even buy a cheap, I mean, the first gen Ryzen processors on eBay right now is going pretty cheap. You could even buy one of them and send it back. That's just a couple options to get away from that if the motherboard don't come supporting the 3000 series processors. So yeah, I mean, there's ways around doing that, but yeah, you will have to have first or second gen to update that BIOS if you don't, uh, if it ain't already ready for the 3000 series processors. Um, and that's going to answer a lot of the questions that I get, because a lot of people ask that one. Ryzen 2400G, 8 gigs of RAM. So my motherboard is the DS3H, CPU is 2400, 8 gigs of RAM, but I need to update the BIOS for better performance for gaming. How to get better gaming performance with the system? So you're running the DS3H with the 2400G, 8 gigs of RAM, 3200 megahertz speed. No, updating the BIOS really don't improve your gaming performance much. That's from BD Gameplay Studio. No, the updating the BIOS improves the memory, what kind of memory the motherboard will take. It will improve M.2 support and so on and so forth. If you actually look at the BIOSes that come out with for the motherboard, if you look over at the right, down through here, it'll actually tell you what it improves or updates. Improves USB drive compatibility, improves Q-Flash compatibility, improves USB, updates ages from Athlon 200 series, Raven 2 APUs, and further new CPU support. It kind of tells you what it is. A lot of them don't do a whole lot with gaming. Sometimes you can get it to where it will do really support faster RAM speeds, and if it does that, then it may improve your gaming. Uh, if you want better gaming performance, 8 gigs of RAM, you may want to upgrade your RAM to 16 gigs over 8 gigs. And I'm going to assume that you're running the iGPU on that. If you're running the iGPU, spend $100 on eBay, get you an RX 580. They're pretty available right now for $100 or so on eBay. Um, Yeah, but updating that BIOS ain't gonna do a whole lot for your gaming performance. Let's see, what else do we got? Uh, Aeon Zero. Is this overclocking good with or without GPU? And he's looking at how to overclock the Ryzen 5 2400. That goes with the iGPU or with a standalone GPU. Basically, in them videos, I was overclocking the CPU. I wasn't really doing a whole lot with the GPU or the iGPU. You could possibly overclock the iGPU if you want to, but I'd recommend using a third-party software, something like Ryzen Master or Afterburner, if you're going to be overclocking the iGPU or the onboard graphics on them over trying to do it through the BIOS. It just makes it a lot simpler, and it's a lot easier to reset if necessary. If it messes your system up and you have to reset it, it's just easier to do it through the software than it is through the motherboard BIOS. Um, Joni 182. Hello, with this motherboard, can I put 3 gigabytes of VRAM video into the 2400 Vega 11 graphics? Unfortunately, no. If you go into the BIOS and look, you have an option for 2 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes of VRAM or of RAM to dedicate to the 2400G. They don't have an option for 3 gigs of RAM to be just for the video side of it. They either have to go 2 gigs or 4 gigs, not the 3 gigs. They don't have an option for it. Within that motherboard, that's they kind of got a drop down menu. You pick what you want out of what they offer you. So now you can't do 3 gigabytes in there. You either got two or 4 gig options for your VRAM. And there's another one that was wanting to know if they need first or second gen for the BIOS update, which I done covered. I have a question. Dorkimish. Hello, thanks for the video, and I have a question I hope you can answer me. I have a gigabyte motherboard paired with a Ryzen 2400G and was wondering if there's any way I can enable dual monitors in the BIOS, or I can use 2 monitors with the HDMI and DVI ports, or just the APU, no video card. Thanks in advance. If you plug one monitor into the HDMI and the other one into the DVI port, it should automatically recognize both monitors being plugged in. It should work automatically. You shouldn't have to go into the BIOS to change anything. It should recognize both monitors being plugged in. I believe the motherboard and the CPU both would do the dual monitor setup even on the onboard graphics. I don't see why you couldn't just plug them in and go with it. I think that should work just fine. And with that question there being there, I think it's going to be about time to wrap up this first episode of Hanging with Dave. I hope I answered some of the questions that's been in the comments. I hope you kind of enjoyed that little quick put together of PC ports at the beginning. I want to thank the ones that's been active in the chat and it's sat down and actually enjoyed a little bit of time with me. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here for the day. I think I've had enough fun with this live stream. I hope it wasn't too bad on y'all. If you liked what you saw here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that dislike button if you didn't. If you come up with any questions you'd like for me to answer in next week's video, make sure you put them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them, try to get them answered for you guys. Until then, you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video, or live stream, whichever it may be. See y'all later.